All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by good friends here at Mile High Sports. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. I am ready to discuss last night's Denver Nuggets loss in overtime to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This was a tough one. This was one where Denver fans, they really wanted to get it done, really wanted to see a big win. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Denver let it slip once again in clutch time and in overtime. But the game up until that point was tremendous. And I think a lot of people deserve a lot of credit. But Nuggets fans don't necessarily want to feel that way. You want to actually see Denver win. Shocking. Weird. But I'm here in the number 38 studio, brought to you by Volo Sports and the Vimos app. Really appreciate everybody involved for having us here. We are at number 38, and I'm joined by my special producer. He is Danny Bailey. Danny, how are you?
Special. That's for sure.
That was not my intention.
Special.
You're a
I'm doing well.
Special guy.
I'm doing well. Besides having this CU blowout right in my face right now, first thing in the morning. I guess it's not morning anymore, but it feels that way to us because we had a fun night last night.
We did,
despite the loss.
We did.
But yeah, bummer of a game, and I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of your thoughts.
Yeah, watch party last night here. We did a pregame show. We did halftime. We did giveaways. There was a lot of great stuff. I had a nice little Suavecito tequila margarita. That was delicious, and we've got some other great things at these watch parties as well. Everybody was amped. Everybody was ready to go, and it looked like they were going to be treated to a win. But unfortunately, as the Nuggets have been wont to do, they let it slip away in the clutch. And it just kind of feels that has become a prevalent theme for these particular things. So we're gonna talk about it. We're definitely going to try to see what the heck is going on. But I have some thoughts, of course, especially I did a show last night with Matt for about an hour, and we did a whole bunch of stuff for Mile High right before that. So there's plenty to talk about with this game still. I've got some major thoughts, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this as well, Danny. So we'll have a good time with it, or at least as much as we can, and try to enjoy. But before we get into that, there are more watch parties that we're going to do for the rest of the season. There's a couple. There's another one on March 14th, I'm pretty sure, against the Los Angeles Lakers. I'll be back here for that. That one is a huge game. That one, I think, and I said this before, this is not just because they're the Lakers. This is because they are in Denver's vicinity, and this is a situation where Denver could win a tiebreaker for the playoffs. The Lakers games are the two most important games on the schedule remaining, 100%. We're also doing a watch party for Game 82. A Sunday matinee. I'm not sure if it was a matinee or an afternoon, but I think it's relatively early in the day on that one. That one should be very fun. You're going to be at around Easter, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if that's on Easter at itself, but
it's not.
I think Easter's got to be
the
Sunday.
I checked it.
The Sunday before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But that should be fun. That they're both going to be extremely valuable games, at least like in theory. So we will see what happens. Hopefully get Aaron Gordon back and Peyton Watson back by that next Lakers game, which you're going to need. Clearly, Denver needed him last night. So we'll be out here. We'll have fun at number 38. Make sure to check us out. Make sure to check out number 38, even if there's not a Mile High Sports watch party. We love it here. Okay. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about what happened last night, Danny. This was an unfortunate one for Denver where they got up to a great lead in the first quarter, immediately given back at the beginning of the second quarter by the bench unit. It did not work out really well for Denver, but then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leaves the floor again, and Denver pushes up the lead, and they go into halftime with a 59-50 advantage. But if you know anything about this Thunder team, they are extremely resilient. They force you into mistakes and then create their own opportunities on the other end of the floor. And they ultimately tied it up and put Denver into a really difficult situation late in this game. But approaching the late aspect of this game, there was a massive brouhaha between Nikola Jokic, Dort, and Jalen Williams. No love lost there between between Nikola Jokic and Jalen Williams. Danny, what was your reaction in the moment when we were watching that unfold?
Well, I mean, that was crazy because you don't necessarily see a ton of that in the NBA these days. But Jokic isn't afraid to say something if he feels like guys are being too physical. I know that was something you talked about on Late Night Nuggets this week.
Yeah,
bringing that physicality. I think the Nuggets did a pretty good job of matching the physicality of the Thunder. But I mean, you had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander throw the ball at Jokic earlier in the game, so you could tell it was going to be a little bit testy, and
tensions were high.
It was definitely contentious, and I don't know. I think that it's hard to like be too critical of Lou Dort because playing in that big of a game at the highest level, tension flares up.
Yeah.
Like it's good. It's bound to happen at some point. It sucks when it's your team and when guys could potentially get suspended or fined or whatever. But yeah, I think he got thrown out for a reason.
100%. It's unfortunate that it even escalated to that point. My take is that Lou Dort is a dirty player who often walks that line and does so in, like, most of the time does so in an ethical way, does so in an extremely physical way that's not crossing the line. But like when he does jump over it, you are very understanding that he has jumped over it. And like, it's pretty clear that he does it in these high leverage situations when his team needs it the most. And when he's trying to motivate his guys and really disrupt the other team. Like, very clear that that's how it goes. It was the right call to eject him because, again, you can't trip somebody intentionally and then have it start to really spiral. So there's an unfortunate reality here that Denver is facing, and at this stage, it does feel to me like there's a lot of stuff that they have to match up with against this OKC team. They have a lot of questions that they have to answer the Nuggets have a lot of questions they have to answer in terms of matching up with them and rising to the moment. Now, for much of this game, they did. For much of this game, they did exactly that from a physicality perspective. But what they didn't do was close. They did not close this game. And again, like they are floundering in the clutch. I believe what is Nikola Jokic, like 6-16, 6-15 in the clutch this year? Like when the Nuggets have played and Jokic has been out there, they've been at a relative disadvantage. It's not all him. Like there have been a lot of guys, including Cam Johnson, who missed a very important three, including some other guys who made mistakes down the stretch. Jamal Murray wasn't perfect, especially late fourth quarter in that situation. And then Denver made mistakes defensively, as they often do, to give OKC life. And so it just keeps happening, regardless of who is out there, regardless of how important the game is. And this was the most important game from a matchup standpoint on the season so far, a playoff or a Western Conference Finals preview. And once again, the Nuggets have faltered in a clutch situation. Whether that is fair or not, it is what happened. And a guy that I banned because he's actively trying to troll does make a good point that Jokic was 5 of 24 from 3 in the clutch this season and continues to settle in those moments. Denver's process up until that point was very good, but I continue to think that they have a lot to figure out when the clutch comes around. Danny, what do you think is going on with them in the clutch? Because to me, it seems like they're doing a lot of the same things. They're playing the same way. It's just the shots aren't going in for them right now, and they're making mistakes more frequently than they usually do. And it's on top of making more mistakes defensively than they usually do in these situations. What do you agree with that? What are you sensing?
It definitely seems like they're making uncharacteristic mistakes from teams in past years, and even from like earlier points in the game sometimes when they're clicking on offense to late in the game. I don't want to make excuses, but I mean, I think it might be as simple as fatigue. with how much Jamal has had to play, with everybody coming in and out of the lineup as injuries are happening. I think a lot of it is just that they get to the end of the game, they're mentally worn out, they're physically worn out. And obviously you got to be able to like have good conditioning as a professional athlete, but it's almost unprecedented the number of injuries they've had this year, especially on the starting lineup.
Yeah, they've had a lot. What I will say in kind of pushing back on just the fatigue a little bit is that this was a problem that was happening earlier in the season as well. Like even before they went through all of these highs and lows, even before they went through all the injuries, for whatever reason, they were making mistakes then. So it's hard for me to just put it on that. Like there has to be something else that is going on from a mechanism standpoint, from a focus level standpoint, that just like Denver gets into these situations. And are they overly relaxed in the clutch where because they've been in these situations before? That seems dumb. That seems like a horrible thing in these situations. You don't want to be tight in the clutch. You want to be comfortable and relaxed and understanding that these are things that are supposed to happen. You can play really well in these situations because you've been there before. But Denver has not fared well for whatever reason. I think Jamal has been the best in the clutch of anybody on this team, including Joker. But like Peyton Watson before I looked up the numbers last night. Peyton Watson's 0 of 6 from 3 in the clutch this year. You've got Cam Johnson, who's 1 of 6 from 3, 1 of 8 overall. Christian Brown is actually like only 2 of 5 from 3, but he hasn't taken that many shots. He hasn't been in these situations as often as you would want for him to be. But as has been mentioned in the comments, they clearly miss Aaron Gordon. They missed Aaron Gordon on both ends of the floor last night. He would have done a better job against Chet Holmgren when OKC's going double big and they've got Jalen Williams guarding Jokic, and then they've got Chet Holmgren floating around on Christian Brown for the most part. In this situation, you have him guarding Aaron Gordon, and he has to either go out to the 3 to protect that, or if he leaves and AG's in the dunker spot, then that's a dunk. That's it's a harder situation to help in that situation when it's AG out there instead of Tim Hardaway Jr., Christian Brown. Well, they can't take Christian Brown off the floor because he did a pretty good job guarding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And also, like I thought he did a pretty nice job in the on the offensive end as well. Like he took the threes that he was supposed to, just didn't make enough of them, I think. But then again, it's hard for me to blame him because Jokic shot 2 of 10 as well.
Absolutely. Maybe a little bit too, Ryan, the offensive rhythm being off is them missing their well-known glue guy, Michael Porter Jr. So that could be throwing them all out of whack, you know?
I will push back on that as well in the clutch. Last year, it was very noticeable to me that Michael Porter Jr. had a 7% usage rate, which if you split it up like ethically or like equally across the board, then it should be 20%. So they weren't going to Mike in the clutch then. And
well, but it more of him like being a supporter on the bench, cheering for the guys down the stretch, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just like moral support. They look over there and they see Mike and they have the confidence to do
Good job, guys. Yeah. I know, it's a funny thing because Mike is usually out there. Like he was always out there. They just didn't pass him the ball. Like teams would guard him and then there was a little bit more space. Look, Cam Johnson missed an important shot. I thought they did a great job of setting up that shot at the end of regulation. It was a 1-2-2 zone that OKC was playing. Cason Wallace was up the floor away from that assignment. And Jamal Murray read it. Nikola Jokic read it. They generated a wide open shot in the right corner, and it just bricked in a situation where Denver needed that shot to go down. So they generated a good look. It's all they can ask for. Cam Johnson usually is in a good position to make those kinds of shots. He's a very quality 3-point shooter, just like nearly as good of a 3-point shooter as Michael Porter Jr. Like that's an important piece of this. And Mike may or may not have missed it when he was out there. Now, Nuggets fans have seen Mike hit a lot of those shots in his career. They have not seen Cam Johnson hit those shots before. It's been a while since we've seen Cam Johnson make a big shot for this Nuggets team in a clutch moment. So that's got to happen. It's got to happen at some point. I hope that they continue to test him. But the good thing about when you get healthy, Danny, is that you get Aaron Gordon back, you get Peyton Watson back. This may not be an issue. You might be able to go to some other guys, play a more defensive group, and go to war with those kinds of guys. As the bad choice of words there, and go to battle with those guys, as opposed to doing it with Cam Johnson, who you're not sure if he's going to be that guy.
Sure, and it's so hard to know because obviously they've played OKC tough with a lot of different lineups, but they are coming up short. And at the end of the day, we hope that this team is going to be in a position to have a 7-game series with OKC. And right now, I don't have a lot of confidence that they make it past game 5.
I do.
I don't know.
I do. I mean, look, OKC, and here's the thing. Maybe this is a situation like the Lakers last year or the last couple of years for Denver, where like the games are going to be close if Denver's at their best, and Denver's going to struggle to close the door like the Lakers have against the Nuggets in past, where it would always feel like Denver, even if they're down 10, even if they're down 6, even if they're down 4, would be able to make the final few plays to get across the finish line. And it frustrated the ever-loving hell out of Lakers fans. And so they are Nuggets haters for much of that reason. But I don't know if that's what's happening here. I think, I mean, look, you've got on that team, you had LeBron James and Anthony Davis and a pretty decent supporting cast around them to be able to make the right plays in necessary ways. In this one, you've got Jokic and Murray, who in theory, like that should be good enough. It should be good enough to have and mix around those guys with some like spacers, with some defenders, with like, it should be good enough in that situation. So to me, like the burden still falls mostly on those guys. There's been a lot of criticism of David Adelman. I understand that too. When we come back, how about this? Why don't we discuss David Adelman a little bit, because people want me to criticize and overly criticize him. And then we will also talk about where the game was actually lost, because I have some takes about that. But first, want to tell you guys about the Vimos app. If you want to make your nights out cooler, easier, more productive, more fun, you should absolutely consider Vimos. In their own words, they're trying to connect customers to venues in a unique way through their app platform. It's a digital wallet that remembers your habits and helps delivers the brands, the venues for your night out, like number 38, that you actually want. You can redeem offers, have good food and drink offers, set up events, do contactless payments, all on one app. You can even scan in your ID, which makes it really easy and really convenient. You don't have to hand your ID to somebody you don't know. You could just show them the Vimos app, and that'll be just fine. Check out the Vimos app, spelled VEMOS, and have a better night out. We'll be right back on Pickaxe and Roll.
The thing about basketball is your team can win, or they might come up short. Either way, how much fun you have is all about who you're hanging with. Come on over to Hooters, where every game's a win. With wings that bring the heat, ice-cold beer to wash them down, and the only stat we really care about is assists.
Game's on. Where are you gonna be?
Hooters, your official hangout for game day.
Man, I might go to Hooters. It's a decent idea, Danny.
I went last week after we did the show here.
Yeah, it's
great time.
Good time, good wings, good fun. Always great. Welcome back to Pickaxe and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, folks. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Let's get into this second little bit of conversation here. The Nuggets are mostly the same team. They brought back a lot of the same guys. There are some new faces, of course, like Tim Hardaway Jr., Cam Johnson, of course, Bruce Brown, although same guy, different time period in his career, but like still the same guy.
I thought he was really solid last night.
I thought he was pretty solid too. He probably should. Well, I don't think I can say he probably should have closed. Like Denver has a variety of guys that they could have gone with in that situation, and Bruce was good and helped them get to that point. Is how I will say it. But there's two guys, or yeah, like really one guy that a lot of people have put a lot of concerns on is David Adelman. David Adelman as the new head coach. The Nuggets had Michael Malone for 10 years, a full decade, understanding what his strengths and weaknesses were, understanding that he's going to be a yeller, understanding that he's probably not perfect in the locker room when you are trying to maintain a clear head and you're trying to keep the pace and not necessarily burn the candle at both ends too hot early on in seasons and focus too much on winning each individual game. But David Adelman is a new voice, he's steadier. He is an option that Denver likes. Like, they really like David Adelman in that locker room. I'm just here to tell you that is what the case is. But in the clutch, this is something that I'm not sure Michael Malone was pulling all the strings. Like, I'm not sure that it was just his motivational speeches that were getting them ready for the clutch time. I think I'm going to give most of the credit to the players, which means I have to give most of the blame to the players in this situation. But the factor that, like, a lot of people are pointing to is David Adelman and some things that he is doing or not doing in those situations to set the Nuggets up for success. I don't really have a great take of what he is doing or not doing that is different from Michael Malone in like schematically in these situations that is actually hurting the Nuggets. Do you have something that you can think of, Danny? Because I struggle with it. This is like, look, people come to us for analysis. They come to me for analysis. They think, okay, you should be better at stuff like this. You should be able to make it happen. Look at this rotation chart with me. I'm going to throw it up on the screen here and actually put it in the correct window. Look at this rotation chart with me, and let's try to figure it out. What should he have done differently in this game? Okay, well,
it's so many minutes for Jamal.
He played a lot of minutes for Jamal, but Jamal finished with 39. Was pretty good in that time. Nikola Jokic played a lot of minutes, of course. Like, those guys. Look, Jamal was +5 in his 47 minutes. Nikola Jokic was +15 in his 45 minutes. Cam Johnson was -25 in his 40 minutes. And Jonas Valanciunas was -21 in his 8 minutes last night. It was really 8 or 9, depending on where you're trying to get to. But, like, yeah, not a great rotation for the second unit without Nikola Jokic, I will say.
That unit can't come in and be just absolutely abysmal. They can't come in and have zero production.
Yeah.
So they got to find a way. I saw someone in the comments a long time ago. I'm not going to scroll back up. They said something about bring back the Murray stagger. Maybe they need to be doing more of that.
Murray was out there in the fourth quarter.
He was out there pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
So he was out there with everybody. And he was very effective. But they've got to find a way when Jokic isn't on the floor to have some sort of offensive rhythm. And it's been ugly. I don't think there's anything specific that Adelman is doing differently than Malone necessarily, because I think that this team has had similar issues with Malone and with Adelman, where sometimes when they have those big leads and they let a team get a run, it seems like the timeout comes too late.
Yeah.
And then
that's the only thing that I can really think of. But, like, yeah.
But that, I feel like that happened before too. So I don't know if that's any different.
And to be fair, I don't think that was what was the issue in this particular game. I think that, like, at some point you got to let the players try to decide the game themselves, and you have to try to let them instill the things that you are saying on the sidelines, the game plan that you're trying to run, the counters and things of that nature. Like, here's one factor that I think goes against him. Denver had few turnovers in, like, the first kind of 2 or 3 quarters of the game. They did a pretty good job. They finished with 17, and that is too many. Like, you could point to Cam Johnson with 3, Nikola Jokic with 3. I'm going to give him a pass for that because he has 14 assists.
Exactly.
He carries the ball a lot of the time. Jamal had 2. Christian Brown had 3. That is too many for Christian Brown. Jonas Valanciunas had 2 in his 8 minutes. That is too many. Bruce Brown had 2 in his 29 minutes. That is too many, despite the fact that it was 29 minutes. Like, there are some things that they can improve upon. But in terms of, like, the actual rotational decisions, I'm not sure if there was a good thing that could have happened and could have come from last night. I do think that probably one thing I would have done was match Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's minutes to Christian Brown. And just never been in a situation where Christian Braun wasn't out there against him. But like that allows Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to face Christian even more in that situation, to try to figure out some of his timings, to learn a little bit, and to get him into foul trouble. And maybe that's not the right situation to go to, but I don't know. Like I'm at a loss here for much of this, because like I didn't feel like blaming Michael Malone for a lot of the things last year that got him fired. Now there are things behind the scenes that obviously were a little bit bigger than just what was on the court. And so clearly Calvin Booth made that very clear in his recent podcast appearance. But yeah, like I don't have a significant like disdain for any of the decisions that David Adelman is making. And it's also a regular season game. So what are you going to do? You're going to play Zeke Naji in this situation. You're going to play, like, maybe they should have played Spencer Jones at the 5 instead of Jonas Valanciunas in the second unit, but he only played 2 minutes for Spencer Jones. Didn't really trust him either. So I don't know what the solution was, Danny. Like I can't really point to anything.
There is an aspect of it that Jokic needs to be more of a force. Like he needs to take over games.
Taking a lot of threes, not necessarily getting into the paint. That's for sure. And obviously it's different against OKC than any other team because they hound him so much. It probably a little bit, I know he obviously is fine attacking the paint against physical defense, but it probably makes him not want to go in the paint as much if he's going to get hacked all day long when he goes down there. But that's the game, so he's got to do it. Yeah, like look, at some point he's going to have to do the thing, and he got 5 free throws last night. Nikola Jokic did. That's not enough. Like he should absolutely have more. But here's the thing. He shot 7 of 15 from 2-point range. It wasn't like he shot and like he missed 8 shots. And so did he get fouled on maybe a couple of them? Sure, probably. But he also took some face-up jumpers where he didn't get fouled very clearly. So on some shots that he actually missed, there were probably 5 or 6 opportunities where he could have been even a foul. And then there were probably a couple of opportunities within that where it definitely wasn't. And so he is at this point, and like the blow up last night was a pretty good example of this. I think he's very much in his head about this OKC team, about how physical they are, how they get away with things, how they like are hacking him on a consistent basis and doing the stuff that he gets frustrated with. That, like, if a guard were to have to deal with that on the perimeter, it would be a pretty clear foul, like pretty clear. And like we saw that last night, Shai in his 34 minutes got 13 free throws. He took 29 shots and he only took 3 threes. And so I don't expect Jokic to get that many more free throws than SGA in that situation, because SGA took 3. Like he took 3 outside jumpers. Like he took some 2-pointers that he drew contact on, which is lame. But like, I do think that Jokic has to find a better way to draw that contact, to be a little bit more crafty in that situation, and to not let the refs get into his head. Because right now he's kind of just bludgeoning in there a lot of the time and expecting a call. And there's a nuance to actually forcing a guy when they are reaching in to hit your wrist as opposed to hitting the basketball or just being physical with you at the point of attack. Like that doesn't draw a foul. Like being physical itself isn't a foul. It's just physical. And so you have to show the contact. And if he's not showing the contact on a consistent basis, he's not going to get the call. And that is where I think, because like he's just kind of trying to truck down there right now and get a call and assume that he's going to get it. And sometimes he will, sometimes he won't. And that's where he's going to get frustrated to me.
Because he's big and strong, obviously he's not going to get, like you said, he's not getting the calls that a guard would get. But that touch hasn't been there this year either. We talked about it with the mid-range game a little bit. It's just a little off.
He's also not going there as often.
Exactly. Yeah. That's got to be frustrating for him too.
There's a lot. There's a lot here that I think we could point to. I'm not going to sit here. Like, look, I thought that overall Jokic had a great game yesterday. I'm not going to sit here and say that he had a poor game, but 9 of 25 is 9 of 25. If you miss the shots that you take, and especially like you are the decision maker, if you make that decision and then you miss, then you have to be criticized for it. But the other stuff, like I thought his defense overall was really good. 17 rebounds was great. 14 assists was fantastic. Just 3 turnovers is huge. It was a plus 15 in a game that they lost in overtime by what, 6? Like, that's a pretty important stat to me. Like that's something that they needed to they needed to win that game because of the performance and because of the production that they got there. So if you want to be critical of David Adelman, if you want to be critical of the other stuff that happened, the mistake that Tim Hardaway Jr. made passing the ball to Alex Caruso on the break after he jumped into the air and passed it directly to him was ridiculous. That's a bad mistake. There were a couple of times where Cam Johnson got his pocket picked by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at half court in the first half and then missed some important shots late. That's a huge thing. Now, he did have 3 blocks. Tim Hardaway Jr. did go 4 of 7 from 3. It's not like they did nothing. Jonas Valanciunas went 3 of 5 from the field, but he also got taken advantage of on a consistent basis on the defensive end, and Denver put into a horrible situation with him where, like, maybe they can get away with him versus Boston. Can't really get away with him versus OKC and how athletic and physical they are. So Denver's got some things to figure out. Maybe they will get better with Aaron Gordon and with Peyton Watson out there, and you could play maybe smaller in that case with AJ at the 5, and you're a little bit more versatile, a little bit more switchable in that situation, which you have to be versus this OKC team. But to me, Denver, like, I don't think they're that far away. I don't. I know it might feel that way to some people. I don't think they're that far away, but they've got to keep their head, and they have to, like, maintain that level of physicality and focus all throughout. And that is a hard thing for any team to do, especially this team that has been going through so many injuries and is probably gassed as hell.
I think we talked about it a little bit last night. Is there anybody on the buyout market that makes this matchup not as difficult for the Nuggets?
Well, Chris Middleton's the only guy that I can point to that he hasn't agreed to a buyout yet. They are debating it. It's like Mark Stein reported that if he were to accept a buyout, then Denver would be one of the teams that comes calling and has interest. I'm not sure if that's ultimately going to happen, but I do think that Denver would love to get somebody like that. And then, hey, you've got another veteran forward option where you could go small and not be so small because he's 6'8" and physical and can do some things, but he's also methodical and slow, but he does have some veteran poise and veteran savvy. And so in theory, you should be able to manage a situation like this, but I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody else that I'd really like or value, but I think that the Nuggets have waited this long waiting for Chris Middleton. I think they're waiting for him to try to accept a buyout. And if he does, then Denver will figure it out. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Be interesting to see anybody that you had pointed out that you thought would make some sense.
I just wanted to hear you talk about Chris Middleton.
Okay. Hey, fair enough. We all have our agendas. It's all good. Okay. Well, hey, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a heated rivalry. I mean, we're going to talk about the Nuggets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, because this has turned into a pretty crazy rivalry. We'll be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll.
When I go to court, these aren't my clients. These are my friends. These are people that I believe in. And they have one shot, just one shot for justice. If they've come to me and we've gotten to trial, their life has been turned upside down in some awful way. I'm all they have. So if I haven't put the time in, if I haven't trained, if I haven't humbly looked in the mirror and thought about ways I can be better, and I don't present my best self in court, then I failed them. And that's what motivates me as a trial lawyer, because when this is over, that client goes home. And if I haven't done my best for him, I haven't been his champion, then I've failed.
All right, we are back. Final segment, Pickaxe and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We are live from number 38 here in the Mile High Sports Studio, brought to you by the Vimos app and Volo Sports. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Okay, final segment. We're going to talk about rivalries because it got testy last night. There's no question about it. These two fan bases do not like each other. Anytime Jokic does something that OKC fans don't agree with, their fans flood my mentions and flood Twitter and all these social media platforms about
insufferable.
My God, man, it's brutal. I deleted tweets last night at 2:00 in the morning because I needed to I needed to not get myself fired was a really good idea. But like they just are the worst. Now it's not like completely it's not completely unrealistic for them to have some arrogance after winning the title and dominating the Nuggets over the course of these last couple of years, really. Like, other than the game 7, like going to 7 games and being pretty nervous about that, like Denver has lost a lot of games to OKC over the course of this time. So you can't have a rivalry until you win games. And Denver has not won important games against this OKC team in what feels like a while. We're at game 60 now, and Denver has yet to win versus OKC this year. That may change in the next matchup, which I think is like March 20 something. We'll check in on that. But I do think that this team and these two teams are clearly, like, they do not like each other, and it's very clear about that based off of what happened last night.
Not actually that long. Monday, March 9th at OKC, 5:30 p.m.
Jesus.
Peacock, NBC.
All right. Well, I was noting this. Each of the media partners took one of these games. This last game was on ESPN. The game before was on, I think it was on NBC. I want to say it was the Sunday night in between the Super Bowl and like on Pro Bowl day for the NFL, which nobody watched that. Everybody watched Nuggets Thunder. And then this one is Peacock. And then I think the next one is game 81, and that is on Prime. So kind of wild to see. But yeah, I mean, the media and the media partners understand how big these games are. And clearly the two teams treated it last night as a huge matchup, as a huge game. It was really cool to like, and I want to see that. I want to see teams care about the regular season. I want to see them care about the matchups, and I want to see them try to win against teams that they don't like. And clearly they do not like each other. There's the battle between Jokic and Jalen Williams is very clearly a thing. Lou Dort is going to now be a villain for Denver. Anytime that he comes to Denver, I think he's going to get booed pretty vociferously. So will Shea, for obvious reasons. So will Jalen Williams. J-Dub will not get booed because he's his brother Cody Williams went to CU and is fan by part of the family by proxy as a result. But like, it does feel like OKC has become the big bad in the Western Conference. Obviously, they're a team that could theoretically dominate for the next decade of time. I don't see any reason why they would fall off over the course of these next couple of years. They're still young. They are still extremely athletic, and they have the talent defensively to continue pushing themselves forward. They'll go through different cycles of who they need to be, but like, this team is going to be around. And I think Nuggets fans, for understandable reasons, feel pretty threatened about this OKC team. And I think the Nuggets feel pretty threatened because they won a championship and immediately OKC got this good right after.
Yeah, well, the Spurs are 4-1 against OKC this year.
Sure.
So I don't know. I think
cool.
maybe
Maybe the Spurs will be the OKC rival because Denver's not good enough.
Yeah, maybe. But I just think that there's not it does seem very daunting right now, especially the way they started the season, jumping out to that huge lead in the West. I think the Nuggets are still close. Just they definitely have, I don't want to say they've fallen off, but it seems like they are a step behind OKC now, if not two.
Yeah. I don't like this OKC team for a variety of reasons, but the big one is that they get away with crap. And last night they didn't get away with it. It was very clear that Dort got flagged for it, and it was actually funny. Shea threw the ball at Jokic at the beginning of the game and then got a technical for it immediately. That was not a good way to get in OKC fans' good graces, but
I still think he was just trying to throw it off Jokic and have it go out of bounds.
Oh,
it was a basketball play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what he's arguing. He's like, he pushed me. I'm just trying to. Yeah. Oh, okay, buddy. But no, it was pretty funny that immediately, like within 3 minutes, that Shea threw the ball off of Jokic's chest when he came back in his first game in the biggest MVP battle. Look, like I'm glad that rivalries exist. I think this is cool. I think this is valuable for the sport. And I'm seeing fans from around the league that don't have ties to either OKC or Denver be like, yeah, this is high level basketball. These are the two best teams in the NBA. This is a preview of the Western Conference Finals. Our team is not close to these two teams, things like that. And if you're a Nuggets fan, you look at that a little bit sideways because Denver has not been at the peak level that Nuggets fans think that they can be. OKC also is not at peak level. Like, they're still really good, but like Jalen Williams isn't out there. AJ Mitchell was hurt for them. Like, they've still got guys that they really valuable and they really value and they really care about, thinking that's like, look, they can be at a better, higher level than even they showed. But the Nuggets, if they are physical, if they meet the challenge, if they battle, like if they have their guys, I do think that they can drag OKC down to that level and can win this series. Like, I do think that this is a series they can win. Will it? Will they actually do it? I don't know. I think Jokic has to get out of his own way. I think Murray has to have more games like he had last night where he had 39. Really good stuff from Jamal. I know some of those points were late when the margin was already the way that it happened, but like 39 points led the entire game. Like, even though Shea had 36 in his 29 shots, which not a super efficient performance, but like Jokic went 9 of 25. So probably need a little bit more efficiency from him. There's a lot of guys that you could use a little bit more efficiency from, especially from 3-point range. But Denver, if they are consistent, if they meet the challenge, like they can match up with this OKC team, and those battles are going to be extremely fun. There's another team, by the way, that's in this trio with the Minnesota Timberwolves that the Nuggets are going to face tomorrow in a matinee game. Those three teams do not like each other. Like Minnesota, Denver, there's a rivalry there for obvious reasons. Denver won against them on the way to the championship. Minnesota won against them in 2024 to stop Denver's repeat chances and to go to the Western Conference Finals themselves. There was the 60-point Jokic triple-double in the regular season last year that they had against OKC, where Russell Westbrook did Russell Westbrook gaffes in the clutch, and ultimately that didn't work out very well. It got Michael Malone fired, basically. But yeah, that was against Minnesota. And then Minnesota and OKC have gone back and forth on their battles as well. Like, Anthony Edwards is very forward in terms of not liking OKC, and then that team, like those two teams are trying to match up, but like OKC dominated them in the Western Conference Finals en route to their first NBA championship. So there is plenty of rivalry between those three teams. I think they are leading the entire NBA in terms of rivalry potential. Danny, what say you?
Yeah, I think it's more the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, just because I think with Denver and Minnesota, that's more comparable. You know, they're kind of on the same plane, whereas
OKC's higher. Yeah,
OKC's a little above.
Yeah, Nuggets fans not going to like that take, but I think I agree.
The truth, you know, It sucks, but they are at the peak right now. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of fun for the league. Obviously, I don't want to see guys fighting every night, and I don't want to see guys doing bush league stuff that could potentially get someone hurt, like tripping. Like, tripping in the NBA is dangerous.
Yeah,
and we see guys take bad falls sometimes, and that can be scary. But it is good for the league that they get after it with each other and that they don't like each other, because for a while it seemed like the league was a little too AAU friendly. Everybody's laughing, smiling, and friends. There's some guys in this new era, they don't like each other.
Yeah,
I think Wemby's the same way. Wemby is not messing around with anybody. Yeah,
the Wemby-Chet rivalry is very clear. Wemby and Shea is very clear. There's the battle between those guys. It definitely does mean a lot. Jamin says Blackburn not angry enough, and I'll tell you why. I've actually come to this realization and conclusion, and I'm just going to stick to my principles here. Until Denver has Aaron Gordon back, I'm not going to kill him for anything. I'm just not. Like, Aaron Gordon connects so much of what they need to do, and in a game like this, how valuable would he be taking that final shot in a clutch moment? How valuable would he be matching up with Chet Holmgren throughout the game? Chet had a great game overall with 15 points and 21 rebounds and 3 blocks. Like, you need somebody to match up with him at the power forward position, and Denver had Cam Johnson. That's not enough. You need a lot of things in this matchup in order to be successful. Aaron Gordon is one of those guys. I was talking with Jeff Morton on the way here, actually. PJ Washington is a guy that's given OKC fans nightmares. OKC, like they hate PJ Washington. Aaron Gordon's cut from the same cloth in terms of that physical, athletic, tall power forward who can rise above the level of physicality and the handsiness that OKC brings while also making plays on the other end, like on both ends of the floor. I think that AG is essential for this matchup, more so even than what Jalen Williams provides for them as an all-star, all-NBA guy on their side of things. They have the formula even without him. Like, think about what they need. They go double big with big Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren out there. Big Jalen Williams guards Jokic and Chet rolls over. They have Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso for defensive purposes, or Lou Dort, and then you have Shea. Like, those are the five that they're going to put out there on most of the time. And so for Denver, you need somebody to match up with Chet. You need somebody to be able to switch out onto Jay Will or to switch out onto Shea in some of these cases and play in those situations. Or, hey, hypothetically, if OKC is switching in their scheme and then you get SGA guarding if you get SGA guarding Aaron Gordon, that's a big difference than him guarding Cam Johnson, who Cam got his pocket picked multiple times in this game, got bullied a little bit out on the perimeter. AG's not going to let that happen to him. So I do think that he is really important. And so I'm not going to get super angry at this team for not having one of the fundamental pieces that they're going to need in matching up with this OKC squad. Now, if they don't have AG, they're dead. Like, they're not going to win the series. It's just not going to happen. I feel very strongly about that. And that is an issue. But if they do have AG, I think that they can absolutely win this series. I think they absolutely can win this. They can win against Minnesota. They can win against anybody in the NBA. With Jokic and AG on the floor, they have a plus 22 net rating. That is sick. That is sickening. It's higher than what I think most of what OKC's net ratings are for this season. There are things that they have to figure out. There are things that they have to navigate. But overall, that to me is the most important one, is that Jokic and AG, when they're out there on the floor, that is a tough matchup for OKC to have to beat.
Yeah, with the lead they had last night, they still should have won the game. But
of course,
it's a totally different game with AG. Totally different game with AG. So yeah, they need him back bad.
We will see what happens, but I think that's all I really have. The rivalry is good for what the NBA needs. It's clearly heated, and I think as long as it doesn't go over the line in a way that it did briefly last night, but not in such a big way that it was a bad situation. Like, you want to see some bad blood, but you don't want to see like injuries happen and things of that
they
nature.
were able to de-escalate it pretty effectively.
Not until Jokic gave that face. My God, that's somebody's a little intense last night. That's for sure. He's got to make more shots. There's things that he's got to be better at, but like, you can tell Jokic cares. Jokic really cares about this matchup. He wants to beat this OKC team, and it is going to keep him up at night. And you best believe that the Nuggets are going to give their highest level of effort against this OKC team. That's been one of the concerns that we've had over the course of some of these other games. Like, oh man, how is Denver going to match up with Charlotte? Oh man, how is Denver going to match up with Chicago? Oh, like, what are they going to do against New Orleans? Like, when they match up with OKC, when they match up with the teams that they care about, they're amped up and ready to go. And so the execution has to be higher. But I do think that they are going to be okay in this matchup. Are they going to win it? I don't know. Like, they're going to be in it. And that to me is all you can do against this OKC team, because they are amazing. They're an amazing team with a really great mix and really great talent, and they execute extremely well. So can Denver drag them out of that is a fair question. I don't know if they're going to be able to, Danny. I don't know, but we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for a while, regardless of whether or not it's truly a balanced rivalry. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's amped up. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll. Brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports in the Mile High Sports studio here at number 38, brought to you by Volo Sports and the Vimos app. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Appreciate the love and support on the podcast. As always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. We will talk to you guys on Monday.